On this night, we remember the final hours in Jesus' life. We invite you to think about how Jesus died, why he died, and what his death means for you. In the next few minutes, we will imagine meeting some people who were there when they crucified our Lord. We will think about what it might have been like if we had been there.
Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord?
John and Peter, were you there?
Yes, we were there. Jesus and I was very close. We sat together at the feast of the Passover. I was there when Jesus gave the bread and the wine, and he said, "This is my body. This is my blood." We had no idea what he was talking about. And later, he said, "You're going to leave me. You'll all leave me." We couldn't do that. There's no way we could do that. We loved him. We would never, ever desert him. And as the evening went along, Jesus said, "Would you come with Peter and James with me to the Garden of Gethsemane?" And we said yes. And we went with him. And when we got to the garden, he went deep into the garden and prayed to God. We were very tired. I fell asleep, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And I'll never forget the words that he said to me. He said, "Could you not have stayed awake with me for 1 hour?" Those words are burned into my heart. Yes, I was there.
Yeah, I was there, though there are some parts that I'd like to forget. Like when I told Jesus that some of the others might desert him, but not me, not ever. And he looked at me and he said, "Before the rooster crows, you'll have denied me 3 times. Why would he say that to me? I was shocked and I was hurt. In the Garden of Gethsemane, I was so sure that I could protect Jesus. When they came to arrest him, I took out my sword and I cut off the ear of the priest's servant. It was a stupid, impulsive thing to do. But it's my denial of Jesus that torments me. Later in the courtyard, when the woman recognized me, I said I didn't even know who Jesus was. I lied to protect myself. I denied him when he needed me most. Now I understand when some people say they wish they could go back and live some part of their life over again. I wish I could have another chance. Do it better. Now, whenever I hear a rooster crow, I think I was weak. I acted like a coward.
Were you
Judas, were you there?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask. I was hoping that my betrayal would be something you wouldn't want to hear about. I wish people could forget. After I had already betrayed him, I was there at the Passover meal with Christ. I left early to meet with his enemies. Together, we went to the Garden of Gethsemane, and me and the servant of the high priests and elders, and a noisy mob with clubs and swords. The 30 silver coins that were in my pocket were given to me by the priests and elders, and now it was time for me to deliver. And I did. I did it just the way we had planned, with a kiss. I'm not proud of that. Afterwards, those coins burned a hole in my soul. I knew it was blood money, and I knew I had done a terrible thing. But what's done cannot be undone.
Were you there when they mocked and hurt him so? Were you there when they mocked and hurt him so? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they mocked and hurt him so?
Caiaphas, King Herod, and Governor Pilate, were you there?
Yes, of course I was there. As chief priest, it was my duty to do something about this man who was defying all the rules and traditions and the authority of the temple. I was the one who told them that it's better that one man should die. You see, I firmly believe that the end sometimes justifies the means, and that the end sometimes you have to manipulate the mob to get something done, even if it is unpleasant. When we interrogated Jesus, he was not cooperative. In my opinion, he was blasphemous, inexcusably too. That sort of thing can't be tolerated. I did my best to get the credible witnesses to come and whose stories would indict him. But that didn't work too well, so I appealed to the people's religious devotion. I made them believe that Jesus was dangerous. I made them want him dead. And it worked perfectly. My plan worked perfectly.
Yes, I was there. But by the time they brought him to me, he was already a doomed man. I always wanted to see Jesus, this Jew whose birth scared one Herod so badly that he had scores of baby boys killed in order to get rid of a possible rival. It didn't work, though. He didn't know that Jesus was safe in Egypt. Jesus had a following. I had heard about the signs and the wonders that he performed, and the prospect of seeing him perform a miracle intrigued me. But he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't even answer my questions. I'm the king. People do what I tell them. But he wouldn't. Can you believe that? As I said, he was already a dead man. I let them take him back to be crucified. It wasn't my fault. To tell the truth, I didn't give it further thought. You really should blame Pilate.
Don't dump this on me. I was there, sure, but I wish I hadn't been. I wanted nothing to do with any of it. I realized right away this Jesus wasn't a criminal, and he certainly didn't deserve to die. If it were up to me, I would have let him go. My wife begged me not to get involved. To tell the truth, I didn't care what happened to him. I was just trying to do my job, to keep the peace. I wish the high priest and his gang would have dealt with it themselves, but no, they wanted blood. They wanted Jesus dead, and I was the only one who could order an execution. Perhaps I should have stood up to them, but I was in a jam. They said that if I didn't get rid of Jesus, the emperor would be offended. That was a risk I couldn't take. I tried sentencing him and then giving him a pardon. That didn't work. They wanted Barabbas instead. I had him whipped, thinking that would satisfy their thirst for blood. But no, they wanted Jesus dead. In the end, I wiped my hands of the whole nasty business. It wasn't really my fault. It wasn't my fault.
So you were there too, Barabbas?
I was there, and for me it meant literally my life. When Pilate asked the crowd which of us they wanted to free, me or Jesus, I naturally expected them to say Jesus. He was better known. Everyone had heard about Jesus. Me, on the other hand, I'm a nobody, just a petty criminal. When they yelled my name, Barabbas, give us Barabbas, I was stunned. That day, I walked away a free man. Jesus was crucified instead of me.